The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is not the greatest representation of the actual power that has been on the side of the Suicide Squad. We've already given you 10 squad members that could do the job, but now I got 10 more for you. Starting with Killer Croc. Despite what the first Suicide Squad movie portrayed, Waylon Jones, the Killer Croc, had never actually been a part of the squad before the recent Rebirth relaunch. But he is 110% a fixture of the team now. Killer Croc joined Task Force X in Suicide Squad #1, 2016, and he's been one of their main members for a lot of stories. While he almost passed away on their very first mission, it wasn't in a fight with an alien horde or angry gods like you might expect. It was his own vomit, so that doesn't really help sell the point I'm trying to make here. But in terms of toughness, he has been able to come out completely unhurt after taking a hail of machine gun fire to the back. But even more impressive than that is when he completely survived a blast of General Zod's heat vision, which is the same heat vision that the General used to make a hole in his own skull. So, kind of impressive there. There was a time when Killer Croc was actually even more powerful though. While working with the villain Morrow in Batwoman Volume 2 #10 in 2012, Killer Croc underwent a transformation that tapped into his latent ancestry of historically infamous lizardmen. He gained multiple eyes before mutating further to become kind of like a Hydra, and he gained the ability to generate oxidized kryptonite radiation. So, it's pretty good. Now when I say that Reverse Flash was on the Suicide Squad, I can already hear the clickety-clackety, the tappity-tappity of you nerds all screaming at it once in the comments as you call me an idiot who yells when he hosts and doesn't know what he's talking about. Do you hear it? Well, guess what? You better slow those fingers down because Eobard Thawne is not the only Reverse Flash. I'm talking about Reverse Flash Daniel West. This character was originally revealed to be Iris West's brother, but according to DC Rebirth, he is actually the father of the New 52 Wally West. Along with Black Manta, Joker's daughter, and Lyman Light, this Reverse Flash was a member of the new Suicide Squad, but his run with the task force didn't last very long. After appearing in New Suicide Squad #5, he died 7 issues later in New Suicide Squad #12. After crashing into a Speed Force battery and coming into contact with the energy, Daniel gained a connection to the Speed Force, radically accelerating and enhancing all aspects of his physiology, as well as the ability to absorb Speed Force energy and rewind time, which is something not even the Flash can do without assistance from the Cosmic Treadmill. This allows Daniel to travel back in time and change things from the past. Now, he may not have done all the horrible things that Reverse Flash Eobard Thawne has done, but he has the potential to. He could cause some havoc for the Justice League if he was given the opportunity. Just saying. Next up on our list is Superboy. Now, this isn't young Kal-El or his son, but this is Kon-El Connor Kent's Superboy. During his Hero of Hawaii days, Kon-El ended up opposing the Silicon Dragons gang. Special Agent Sam Makoa decided to organize a task force to go after the Silicon Dragons, which was none other than Amanda Waller's Suicide Squad. Superboy basically just forced himself onto the team, which consisted of Knockout, Sidearm, King Shark, Captain Boomerang, and Deadshot. Despite the passing of Sidearm, the mission successfully destroyed the lair of the Silicon Dragons, even though their leader, Lady Dragon, escaped. Now this all took place in Superboy Volume 4, #13 to 15 from 1995. Superboy is a clone created by Project Cadmus, utilizing both Superman and Lex Luthor's DNA. He not only has the super strength, stamina, and durability of a Kryptonian when under a yellow sun, but this version of the hero also has tactile telekinesis. During his Hawaii phase, he lacked X-ray vision, infravision, and heat vision, so Dr. Emil Hamilton gave him a visor that simulated all 3 ocular powers, but since then, that's changed. And he has all the powers of Kryptonian, plus his tactile kinesis, like I already said. Next up, Cyrus Gold, aka Solomon Grundy, is one of the oldest supervillains in the DC universe, having been a nemesis of Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern, among many others. Now, Solomon Grundy's backstory is pretty complicated, and it has happened a couple of different ways. We could probably make one video just about that, but essentially, he was a wealthy and shady merchant who was taken out and left to rot in Slaughter Swamp. Decades later, he was resurrected, partly composed of swamp matter, and succumbed to a life of villainy. Now, just like his backstory, his level of power has been kind of hard to pin down as well. In one story, he may have been swiftly defeated by the likes of Green Arrow or Batman, and in other stories, he gives the Man of Steel a run for his money in the strength department and fights Green Lanterns. So it really depends on the writer. But other Other than his strength, he is also immune to magical attacks and Green Lantern-style energy, and he can resurrect himself from the dead. These traits make him an ideal bruiser. Solomon Grundy first appeared in a flashback story in Suicide Squad Volume 2, number 10, but actually joined the task force during the interim period between Volumes 2 and 3 in Superman Volume 2, number 182, along with Deadshot and Killer Frost. Next up is King Shark. Now, while King Shark, also going by the name Nanaue, seems like he may be an Aquaman villain, and he totally is, he was actually originally a villain of Superboy, again during his time in Hawaii. So how does King Shark, seemingly just an anthropomorphic shark, go up against the likes of Aquaman and Superboy? Well, that's because he is actually a demigod. In the most recent continuity, Nanaue is the offspring of the Hawaiian shark old god Chandraka. After learning of the existence of Superman, Amanda Waller began seeking a controllable Superman for her own purposes, and she chose Chandraka. But after Chandraka was captured on a tropical island by Amanda Waller, he was deemed too powerful and too uncontrollable, so she also took one of his offspring with her before destroying the island, assuming that the child would be easier to control than the father. The child was Nanaue, who was raised by Waller in laboratory conditions and grew at an extremely fast rate. King Shark's bite can pierce the skin of Etrigan the Demon. He has been able to land punches on Aquaman powerful enough to harm him. He has overpowered Angels of the Bull host and has found himself to be evenly matched with Lobo when it came to his physical strength. He has the durability to survive the pressure at the bottom of the ocean, and he can regrow his own limbs. Next up is Ben Krulin, aka Reactron. Reactron is one of DC's lesser known villains, but that doesn't mean that he isn't dangerous. His atomic abilities are devastating, and he can turn the tide in any battle with disastrous results. His control of radioactivity grants him access to all forms of radiation, and that includes the radiation given off by kryptonite, making him a dangerous opponent against the likes of Superman, Supergirl, and eventually Power Girl in the newer continuity. Now, his containment suit grants him the ability to manipulate nuclear energy, along with enhanced physical attributes such as superhuman strength and durability. These traits made him an ideal choice for Task Force X. Plus, he was presumed dead following a battle with Supergirl, which also helps. Krulin's time on the squad was brief but eventful and pitted him and his unwilling teammates against the Doom Patrol. However, Deadshot, being Deadshot, breaches his suit, leading to him exploding and ending his tenure on the team and his tenure with life. But other than Superboy, another member of the Superman family had also become a member of the Suicide Squad, and her name is Kara Zor-El, aka Power Girl. Being a Kryptonian with all the benefits that come with that, but from another universe and thus invulnerable to the main DC Comics universe's kryptonite, Power Girl is one heck of an opponent. Power Girl joined a version of the Suicide Squad called Task Force Omega with fellow JSA members Hawkman, Wildcat, and Star-Spangled Kid to rescue Amanda Waller and other squad members from their old nemesis, Rustum. This all happened in Suicide Squad number 12 from 2002. The New 52 version of Power Girl was also briefly involved with the squad, but I'll let you decide if that counts. During the invasion of the crime syndicate, Kara was tricked by the Thinker, who was using a hologram, Amanda Waller, to convince her, Steel, Warrant, and Unknown Soldier to form a new Suicide Squad team. The team was assembled to retrieve OMAC in the Rocky Mountains, but inside the base they were confronted by the remaining members of the real Suicide Squad. Another thing I'll let you decide is if she could take on Superman, because that is just a whole can of worms that I am not getting involved in. Let's move on. Next up is Manchester Black. What's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way, also known as Action Comics issue number 775, is awesome. Essentially, this comic sees the arrival of a group of heroes called the Elite that fight crime, but in an incredibly bombastic and brutal way with no regard for lives. This flies directly in the face of the moralities of heroes like Superman. The leader of this band of villainous heroes goes by the name Manchester Black, and he has an incredible level of telekinesis, able to punch a hole in a mountain with a simple thought. His dangerous worldview, coupled with his psychic powers, has basically enabled him to control massive numbers of supervillains, repurpose Doomsday's hatred of Superman towards the Imperiex probes, and he's even given Superman a telekinetically induced stroke by pinching the blood vessels in his brain with telekinesis. His time on Lex Luthor's Suicide Squad was brief, but it came at a pivotal time when all of existence was threatened by Imperiex, with all heroes and villains needing to team up to stop the cosmic entity. League. This iteration of the team was created for the express purpose of recovering Doomsday from imprisonment. The mission went awry when Doomsday attacked the team, with Manchester Black only escaping by manipulating the behemoth to channel his rage against ImperieX's army instead. Next up, Wade Eiling was a man who, much like Amanda Waller, liked to pull strings from behind the scenes. He was part of the Cabal, which was exactly what its name suggests, a secret government cabal that manipulated world events. He was also part of the project that created Captain Atom. He was not a nice guy, and he and Waller had a bit of a rivalry. However, when he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, he decided to transfer his mind into the self-regenerating body of the Shaggy Man. The Shaggy Man was an old, incredibly powerful Justice League opponent who has a strength capable of fighting any metahuman, even Superman, to a standstill. He can withstand a combined attack from any high-ranking superpowered being and survive in the vacuum of space. He regenerates in a matter of moments, and the pain won't even slow him down. He doesn't need food, water, or air, and the Shaggy Man body constantly adapts to any assault made against him. After experiencing one form of attack, he basically learns how to resist it in the future. He is a huge threat for the Justice League. Eiling had discovered his body with his Ultramarine Corps in JLA number 24 in 1998. Unfortunately for him though, somehow Amanda Waller got the General pulled off of an asteroid Superman had stranded him on and proceeded to force her longtime nemesis into Task Force X in Suicide Squad number 3 from 2008. But that guy kinda reminds me of another guy. Doomsday. As one can imagine, Doomsday is not someone that can be very easy to control, so he's not exactly at the top of the list when it comes to the Suicide Squad members. However, that doesn't mean that Task Force X can't and hasn't been able to use him as a secret weapon. Realistically, all one has to do to use Doomsday effectively is just plop him in the right place at the right time, and that is exactly what happened. In Adventures of Superman Volume 1, number 594, aka the Doomsday Protocol, the final story in the Suicide Squad's first interim period saw Lex Luthor's Suicide Squad unleashing Doomsday on ImperieX's probe army, which was conveniently disguised as Superman. While Doomsday managed to take out the aliens' army, he was no match for Imperiex himself, and the monster perished in the story. But that doesn't really matter because Doomsday cannot die. Anytime that Doomsday dies, he just comes back having adapted to whatever took him down. He has literally fought his way through hell and came out on top. He can take the Justice League. But that's a wrap. I'm Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd. I'll catch you nerds on the flippy flop, but until then, stay safe and peace out, you nerds.